Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
So, welcome to the show. Today's Monday, and this is going out live on Mintwave Radio. If you do have the Alexa skill already set up, you can just ask Alexa. If you want the skill, just go to the website above, mintwave-radio.com. And if this is via podcast, you can also, from the same website, download the app for Apple and Android for Podbean and see our complete weekly schedule of all the show hosts. Feel free to subscribe to any that take your fancy or leave a comment. Now, today's episode is 178. I can't believe we're here. And today we have Nina Guatama, and she's a soul coach and energy healer. And we're going to be talking about soul healing. I'm your host, Karen Roberts, helping coaches and therapists to get their message heard to the people who need to hear it. Now, Nina was born and raised in the UK, but is now enjoying a nomadic lifestyle. She spent a year in Bali in 2022, where, having gone through a deep awakening and healing process, she began her support of others on their own transformative healing journey. So welcome to the show, Nina.
Hi, Karen.
So first of all, if you'd like to just share with the listeners a little bit more about your backstory and how you came to be doing what you're doing now.
So as I said, I actually was training to be a yoga teacher. That was a dream for a good few years. And I was very much on my own healing journey, had discovered kind of the shift from going to psychological healing to spiritual healing and how that benefited my life and accelerated things for me. And then going to Bali, I believe that awakenings are actually learnings we go through throughout our lives. But I went to a temple there. I had a blessing to open up my higher chakras, and it essentially created this huge just opening and whole shift in perspective of my life experience thus far and what it is I was meant to be doing. So I took my yoga training and really channeled that into supporting people through coaching. And I feel that my own life experience up to that point really contributed as well. So that's yeah.
Do you want to share with the audience a little bit more about your life experience then?
Yeah, so I troubled childhood. I was always very blessed with a supportive family, but very troubled childhood. I suffered various forms of abuse and trauma from a very young age, and that kind of went from bullying and migraines and stuff at primary school into my teen years, becoming more kind of behavioural problems, substance addiction, toxic relationships, and from there on everything became more challenging. So I was stuck in this cycle of, I always had the awareness and the desire to heal myself, but I was stuck in this cycle of going to therapy, feeling like there was something wrong with me, being diagnosed with various, all the way from ADHD to depression, anxiety, mood disorders, and it was just keeping me caught in this loop. And I don't think there was a moment. I think it was like a series of moments from my mid-20s all the way to my early 30s where I just started to question, there's got to be more than this.
So do you think the problem these days is that so many children or teenagers are being labelled with these, ADHD, this, that, the other? And the problem seems to be is that so many people, and obviously there's a scale, isn't there? Not everybody has gone through severe trauma, big trauma, but little trauma can still have a massive effect on what they're doing now as adults, and they reckon actually 100% of people have got some kind of trauma from childhood. It could be as simple as the way a particular teacher talked to a child had an effect on them moving forward. And do you see that this is the issue going on these days, is that everybody wants to label you as though there's something wrong with you, and nobody's broken, nobody needs fixing. They just need to understand themselves a little bit better.
Exactly. And I feel what you said about trauma is so relevant, right? Because for me, my experience now, both supporting other people and in my own journey, is that trauma is perceptive, and also that it's very much part of the human experience. So I believe that we are souls having a human experience, and that unfortunately, like, suffering and trauma is part of that, and us learning to overcome it is part of that. But I can see where labels can benefit, but that's only because society needs them in order to give people the support they need. And I feel like this whole thing around neurodivergence, around mental illness, it just, people can get so caught up in it, and it becomes an identity rather than a tool to support people. And that's why I feel like where the coaching industry and different parts of the spiritual industry can really benefit, but it has to be used in the right way.
Yeah, sure. And that is it. Like you just said it there. It is a part of life, and everybody is having a different experience, and no one is necessarily better or worse than the other. Like you said, I love that. It's all perceptive. It's all down to perception. Sorry, and but it is all about overcoming. So my concern is it's a good way that people are more aware that if somebody has got XYZ, then they would benefit from being dealt with in a certain way. Or maybe you don't put that person on a spot in the middle of a meeting because you're not going to get the best answer out of them. You might need to give them the issue, give them the problem, allow them to have time to then come back with a solution. There are different ways. We're just all different, aren't we? And we deal with things differently. And some of us are good at this and not so good at that. And it's all good. But my fear is that so many people now are walking around thinking there's something wrong with them. And no, it's just that we're all different.
Yeah. And it's that need for a label as well. It's that need for a label to belong somewhere in society. And that's what I feel we need to overcome. I definitely think that, so what I see in my own journey, in my clients' journey, ultimately is that progression from victim of trauma or said label to survivor of trauma and said label to not even being a survivor. Because when this is the other thing, the survivor, I believe, like, they can all serve at some point, and being a survivor definitely served me at one point more than being a victim did. But if I stayed there, I always would have been a survivor, and we don't want to be in survival mode. That's how we're conditioned, is to be in survival mode, and we forget we're not taught that, given the tools to actually live without feeling that we need either to succeed or to fix and heal ourselves. Yeah, and this is why I'm doing what I do, because I so strongly believe that this needs to be, that there's a shift happening that has to be supported to go in the right direction away from these labels.
Right.
Yeah.
And because, if everybody has got one, we're all of a sudden putting everybody in different boxes rather than learning how to just come together and support each other and be compassionate, show a little bit of compassion. That person might need a little bit of or maybe things explained slightly differently than that person. So do you think it's really about building awareness for all Because there's probably lots of people that haven't even been diagnosed. They don't even know which box they're sitting in, and they're just trying to get through life actually in survival mode.
Exactly, exactly. And now we have people queuing up for diagnoses so they can get support. So this is where we step in as heart-centered coaches, is so that people aren't waiting to be fixed, that they can come straight into a place of knowing that actually they're okay and learning. I call it turning our weaknesses, that we were all born with these perceived weaknesses, or things we were told were weaknesses, and turning them into our superpowers, things that we can actually utilize, because every defect has a purpose somewhere in our lives, and it's really just allowing that shift to happen, for things to change for us internally and then externally immediately, rather than always searching for the diagnosis, for the label. And what it is, the seeking for a place to belong. Because if we don't belong with the people that are succeeding and in a career or in a way of their studies, then we're looking for somewhere else to belong. And rather than doing that, to really embrace what we have and roll with it and attract in our tribe, so to speak, through that.
Just owning it. It's okay. This is the beauty. We're
Exactly,
all different. We're
exactly.
all different. We're all different. So, what is
Mm.
it that you do? How do you help people, and who are you helping?
It's this is always a tough question for me, because certainly in terms of the type of people that have come to me, every time I've tried to like create an avatar, so to speak, it just hasn't happened. I've had every age range from all backgrounds. But yeah, I feel like what I'm essentially here to do is I went through 10 years of different types of psychotherapy and feeling like I needed fixing. And then I went through a very strong spiritual awakening without the support I needed through that. And certainly what I've been doing more and more is people have been coming to me because they are experiencing life differently, or that they're realizing that they're more sensitive to supernatural things happening, or they're feeling energy shift inside and around them. They're noticing shifts in their lives, and they're just not, we're not, again, in this society, we're not prepared on how to manage that. So this is part of what I'm doing, is just grounding people in their awakening, and in ultimately in the release of these labels, and in the release of their trauma, and in the release of this need to identify with problems in order to be seen and supported. And I do that through completely intuitively. So essentially, I tune in with someone's energy and I'm getting messages from their higher self,
So, is that
from
like
their
Reiki?
energy.
That's like, this is energy healing. Is this energy healing? Are you
Yeah, so
talking about
it
Reiki?
often goes into healing, but it can just be complete, like, straightforward guidance as well. It's, I guess it's a little like a psychic reading or a tarot reading would be, but I actually keep it as woo woo as it needs to be, which isn't very. And I just tune in. We tune in depending on someone's beliefs. They might want to tune in with their version of a higher power, but we tune in together. And normally it's just tuning in to their soul, to their core energy. And it's okay. Where do we want to go with the session today? And from there, if it's guidance that wants to come through, that comes through. If it wants to go into chakra work and energy healing, that's what comes through. And it's really specific. And what I love about it, and what I love about this ability, is that it's not me giving advice from a perceived higher place or a perceived place of being further along. It's literally getting away from the outer noise of the world, from all that information and all that shoulds and shouldn't do's, and just coming back to the inner wisdom, the intuition that they already have inside of them, that knows how to heal themselves, how to direct them in their lives. And I basically channel, that's how I work.
Because do you think the problem is that we've been conditioned to not trust our intuition? We've been conditioned to give our power away to an external, perceived authoritarian person, somebody in authority that is outside of ourselves. We have been conditioned to listen to them and listen to them. Go to see that person in a white coat, and they're going to tell you what's wrong with you. Whereas when we actually do connect with us, we know, our body knows, right? I mean, you call it soul healing, but the soul doesn't need healing, does it? The soul is perfect. It's us getting in our way, isn't it?
Actually, the soul, it's less of, sometimes the soul does need healing. This is going into the woo woo now. So this is how deep it can go, is into past life regression stuff, in the idea that our soul has journeyed. But in a more literal terms, in what we've been talking about, when the idea is that when we experience trauma, part of our soul either kind of goes to sleep or leaves the body. So some of what I do is retrieval and bringing it back together, but it's not really any different to inner child healing, for example. But it's really just doing it on a deeper level. But going back to what you were saying, yes, the idea is that at our core, we are all already whole, complete, loved, perfect in the eyes of our higher selves, our souls, and in the eyes of a higher power, a bigger force. And yeah, like what you were saying about needing to go somewhere, that's as amazing as social media is. It's what has brought us here now. It's also, we're just being bombarded constantly by information. So the basic thing that I'm saying to people is, if you want to get away from that noise and just have a chance to listen to yourself, and initially when I'm working with someone, that could just be coming directly from me, but I do not want to fix people. I am a healer, but I'm not here to just give people a quick fix and they go away and then they need me again and come back. It's really teaching people their ideal modality of how to just stop and listen and drop in and get away from that outside noise. And it's about trusting ourselves. We've been taught not to trust ourselves and to fear our own judgment, essentially, of a situation, rather than to trust it.
100%. Because if people are really honest with themselves, they know when something's not right. If you really tune into your own body. But yes, we are distracted. Well, we're constantly distracted. You said about, yes, because of social media, it's just information overload. So we're not hearing that little voice inside us, are we? We're just being bombarded completely. The best thing I ever did was get rid of a TV. I haven't had one for 2.5 years. It was the best thing I've ever done. Although you can get caught out. I wanted to go to a friend's house last weekend. I'll get a train down. And then at 4:00, went to go down and realised there was a train strike. And I was totally blissfully unaware that there was a train strike because I haven't listened to the news. I haven't got a TV.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, where have you been?
I'm like, in my bubble. That's where I'm
and I always say this to people, because I've definitely had my more ethereal spiritual times, but I'm completely caught in the middle. I would not be able to survive without Google Maps. There's no way. I'm completely reliant on it. My inner compass doesn't do directions.
But this is it. All these things that have come up, they've come up hopefully from a good place. And they do have their place, and they are just tools that we can use. I wouldn't use, oh, I shouldn't say things like that on there. We use Waze, not Google Maps. But other than that, yeah, we have just come so far from trusting ourselves, probably, and it's not just recently, it's not just through social media, it is over the last, I would say, few hundred years, probably ever since they burnt women at the stake. We've come away from that, probably again through fear of being burnt, because we have just become so detached from the earth, from understanding the healing power of herbs, and not trusting ourselves to heal ourselves. Because yeah, I totally agree with you, our bodies can heal itself when put in the correct environment. But the problem being is, in this modern day, we'd never seem to be in the correct environment, because there's so much stress. People are under way too much stress, and that on top of, never have we been so well fed but so undernourished. And then there's just so much choice of rubbish out there, as opposed to giving our bodies actually what it needs, which is fuel. And then overloading with toxins. We just seem to be living in such a state that if you're not careful, we're really putting our bodies in the worst possible state, and then expecting to go to an external power to be given a pill to fix it all, as if
it's such a cycle. And what's happening now, of course, is that there's a million different ways to fix it. And again, it's just getting things that are there to help people are becoming commodified. It's becoming too overwhelming. Which way do I turn? What issue that I know I've got do I deal with first? How much is it going to cost me? All of this, and it just gets, you're going from one spin cycle into another.
Yeah.
And when people ask me how I got out of it, I haven't. I have to practice daily to come back to myself, and that's it. It doesn't have to be something difficult, but you have to have daily practice. Because I'm doing what I do, I'm still on social media every day, I'm still consuming, but it's just becoming really selective with what we consume, what information we consume, what books we decide to read. Even, it's not just like it's technology, it's like you said, pollution and toxins are in everything. So it's like really being selective on our consumption.
Yeah.
And doing that from a place of inner knowing.
Yeah.
Like, of really going inwards. And then people are like, I've tried to meditate and I can't hear everything. And it can take a while. It takes practice. It takes practice to hear. And really, if people want a quick fix from me, they're getting a channel. And generally, when I tell them the messages that are coming from their soul, they already know because they've heard it. But what we do is we get that intuition come up, because as a child, for example, we felt something intuitively, even at school, needed to go to the toilet or something, and we were told, no, you can't, you wait till break. So we weren't taught to listen to the needs of our body and our soul, wants of our body and our soul.
Yeah.
We were taught to want from our minds, from our conditioned mind, from our ego.
And that's not going to change overnight, is it? If we've had, again, I suppose that is another byproduct maybe of the modern world, again, because of all these, we're just distract, like you said, so much information and wanting it now. We want this instant fix. We're all looking for this magic pill. And I'd be lying if I didn't say, if suddenly they came up with a pill that you're going to lose a stone tomorrow.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. We are wired, actually, to go for a quick fix. In fact, our brain actually will only almost pick up on certain bits of information if it's resonating with what our core beliefs, because we are on a subconscious level, looking at ways to conserve energy. So, in a way, we can get a bit lazy and a bit complacent, and we do want things quickly now. So, that's obviously come up from a human need. But the problem is, realistically, everything is, we are currently in a time space reality that there are certain laws, universal laws, that certain things take time. Yes, there isn't ever going to be a magic pill that you're going to drop a stone. I truly believe that it's never, ever going to happen because of the way the body works. And I come from the fitness industry. You want to drop 2 stone, it ain't going to happen after the first workout that you do. But somehow we have become so conditioned to this. Oh, we're just too impatient, aren't we? We're just way too impatient people.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's because we've been conditioned to think that we're in a hurry, like that is some race. I know you can go too far the other way. I've been there of just, oh well, things will happen when they happen. You still got to take action, but taking that action from an intuitive place and then allowing it to take effect. Yeah, just
Yeah.
trusting. But
Uh,
I completely relate to what, and it's the same with spiritual or emotional fitness. Of course, it is that it takes time. I spoke to someone the other day that asked me, how do you heal quickly from emotional abuse? And the first thing I said is, why quickly? Why does it have to be quick? And he said, because I want it to be. And I was like, okay, so the first thing you have to do is completely remove the idea that you've had emotional abuse. Like that has, if you want a quick fix, that has to go instantly. And of course, then like that 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 conversation led to a realization for both of us. It's always a lesson for both of us that, in fact, that there is no quick fix. And it does, sometimes it happens. Sometimes that process, you would have experienced this in fitness as well. Sometimes your body responds differently and it speeds up, or it slows down. There's
yeah.
all these
Now I'm
different factors
51.
going
It's definitely slowed down.
on.
Yeah.
Don't look a day over 21.
Oh, she's good. She's good. Yeah,
No,
like you say, even the like you say, even the meditation, yeah, there's no way I could have meditated like I do now, say 20 years ago. Not, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It does take practice, like anything in life. I don't really understand why, really, we expect anything to be any different. To learn any new thing, and if you did a hobby when you were a child, to learn gymnastics, to learn anything, it takes practice. There has never been a quick fix, has there?
no. Although what this keeps bringing me to is, if you observe cultures that maybe are more back to their roots, things like movement, for example, are done very naturally. Movement, eating well, like a lot of people go back to when we were cavemen and we're not. But we never would have had to think about getting in our daily workouts and eating well, and because we would have just done everything intuitively. So that's like the ideal. Like you said, it does take practice, but the ideal is to come back to a place of asking yourself rather than seeking elsewhere. And it's not to never receive outside advice or support, because some people have wisdom that they can share with us without us having to figure it out ourselves. But it's more being guided there from an inner place rather than this idea of I need to lose weight, I need to heal. If we feel that we need to heal completely, we are going to spend our life doing deep dive, painful work on ourselves. And,
Who wants to
you
do
know,
that?
you need, who wants to, I was in it, I was in that loop of constant healing. and now I just allow it to come and go. But this is the other thing. One of the roots, my own coach at the moment calls himself the light-hearted coach, and I went for him because I was like, I love all my deep soul searching work, but I need that lightness. And me and my clients always end our calls with laughter, however deep we've gone, because one of the main forms of healing is living. Like, one of the most effective forms of healing is just to live, and to do it from a place of love for ourselves rather than a place of letting our hair down and all self-care going out the window, but to really live.
So how important really is, when we talk about healing, and so many people I've spoke to say that, yes, it's going to be painful. And I suppose my question, is it really necessary to go there? If somebody's, I get it that things can happen in your past that you might want to forget. And I get that it can be affecting you on an unconscious level. But is it really necessary to go in and to really feel those negative feelings? Can you be healed without having to do that?
I got to think about this one. I feel like we have to acknowledge what's already there in order to release it. Something really important that is a part of what I do is I help people transmute the energy of it, which is again something I've trained myself to do for myself and for others. I already had the natural ability, but I had to relearn it. So there's a lot of talk about, and most people who need healing aren't just carrying their own stuff, right? Or feel that they need healing, they're carrying other people's things as well. And what it is, we've been taught to pick up whatever it is, to feel it when we feel emotion or whatever, to push it back down or to help others, and we end up just carrying these burdens with us. So the reason healing is important is because those healings, for them to just disappear, it does happen sometimes, but it's unlikely that they're going to disappear without being acknowledged. But something important in what I do is, even when I talk about energy healing, even when someone's talking, I pick up the energy as it comes off them, that heaviness, and I help it transmute. So that can literally be one session that somebody's feeling like a big weight that they've been carrying maybe their whole lives has been lifted. And that's what I experienced in my first coaching session that I had, that this trauma that I'd spent years and years working through could just be, with a little help from the right person, could really, it's less about getting rid of it and more transforming it into power, like power to use in your day-to-day life. When you talk about going deep, we can do that and come out of it, but it's really, the issue becomes when we stay there or when we keep digging deeper. Because what I know from soul healing is that you have your surface layer healing and it just keeps going deeper and deeper. So I don't know if that answers your question.
So I get it on a sort of conscious level. Okay, you've got to release it. But I suppose that has always been, again, how healthy is it on dwelling on the issue as opposed to then turning your attention to what it is you want, or is it going to keep biting you in the butt if you don't actually clear it?
I believe that, yeah, it will bite us in the butt. But I think what we tend to do as humans is, especially in this society, we want to analyze it all. So we want to get it, look at it. Oh, maybe it's this, rather than just throw it out. So that, which, is why I'm a soul coach and not a mindset coach, and which is why I work energetically, because it's really about just clearing it out without always feeling the need to understand it and to go over and over it, which is what you're talking about, that can be really detrimental. And it's another form of that label, of that identification, because you just become your trauma and your healing journey, and you are nothing outside of that. And I just see it so much from coaches, and like, no judgment or criticism, because everyone's just doing the best that they can with what they have. I genuinely believe that. But I felt like I'd reached a point, so now I know I need to keep working harder. Why?
Yeah.
Go and take what you've got and live with it and share it. And the reason we're clearing all this crap is so that we can really fully love. Like, we know how to give love to ourselves, and we know how to give love to others, and we know how to love our lives. It's not so we can find more stuff to dig up. And there's some trauma that's so, one of the main things now is people getting frustrated with their parents for not working through their stuff. And honestly, I'm like, I don't blame them, because that's going to take the rest of their lives. They don't need to be doing that. Just, maybe work on some behavioural things or little things they can shift to make their lives easier. But they don't have to be digging up stuff from childhood if it's not aligned for them. No.
Yeah,
that
is
really
the concern. That is the concern. Is that is again all these things, I think, do come from a good place. It's great that people are starting to understand that, maybe I've been avoiding doing this thing because, and so maybe I should sort it out. It's great that people are acknowledging, being aware. But yeah, I'm just noticing it with a lot of the youngsters. And like you say, as parents, I'm going to get the blame now. My kids are going to be like, I'm like this because you didn't. And you said it earlier. Everybody is just doing the best they can with the knowledge they have at that time. Some people were parents. What was I, 25? Can't even remember, 27 when I had my first child. Some people are a lot younger, still children themselves, still figuring it out themselves. I was still figuring things out at 27. I was certainly not there. And you learn as you go. So yes, that is the danger, is that then people are going to, suppose, moving from victim into the blame. Very dangerous place to be, isn't it?
It is. Again, it can always serve a purpose. So I went through that shift on my own journey, and I shifted out of it. I think the most important thing is not to stay in any one place.
You've got to go through it, but just go through it the once. But again, I suppose, where do they know when to stop? Like you say, it's almost like now they want to go in deep and deeper. When do they know then? Or how?
Well, this is where it's important. Sorry, this is where it's important that we have support from coaches, therapists, and any form of support that where they actually care. Because if we don't get lost in our egos and in our need to heal or fix people, we're going to clearly see where it's time. Okay, like, we've done that deeper healing work, we've sat with your inner child long enough now. Let's shift into your future self. What does your future look like? What does your present look like? What could you go and do right now that's going to actually enhance all that amazing work you've done? And that is why our roles are so much more important than just fixing people. Feeling that we can fix people, or that, of course, having life experience is going to enable us to have a different level of empathy, but that's all it's for. It's not to assume that their journey needs to mirror ours. And actually, I've been taken advantage on multiple occasions during that journey. That is a little bit victim mindset, but just where I can look back and see, like, people that were so fascinated with my willingness and this just desperation I had to fix myself, that they really went deeper into stuff than it needed to be. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where I'm here to show people, whether it's a spiritual journey you're on, or emotional healing, or even like physical healing, that you
Well, they're all
really,
linked.
you need to be in touch with yourself to, so that you can know when it's time to stop, or to take a break, or to go on a different path.
So do you think the way I see things, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, but I look at a lot of the therapies out there, I should be careful what I say, but it does seem to be holding people in that place. Whereas, okay, so you're coaching people, that's a bit more future focused. Is it? So it's deal with what's gone on, but now actually move forward. So you're moving them through on their journey to transform.
The idea of coaching is to enable people to hear themselves. It always has been that, and it was always supposed to be different to therapy. But again, without slating the industry, because I've benefited from it enormously. So
And
have
courses, the
many,
courses.
many people I know.
Yeah,
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 that here we are. But just, I guess, just to be aware that it is, in some places, it's starting to go that way again. Even to tell people, there's a lot of telling people like, you need to quit your 9 to 5 in order to be happy. There's a lot of that kind of thing around, of that this society doesn't fit anything, and there's some truth in that. But for some people, they love their job, and if they start getting told that it's wrong, then
yeah.
it's going to confuse them. Do you know what I mean? Just
100%.
really,
Going back to what we started on, as the fact that we are all different. So being a business owner is not going to be the right thing for some people. They will be happier being in an environment where they just get told what to do and they go and do it, and they can go home and not think about it. Being a business owner
yeah.
or an entrepreneur can be quite stressful, and there can be no let up in the beginning. So it's not for everybody, and there is no right and wrong anywhere. Maybe some companies you wouldn't want to work for, but in general, I'm sure there's some wonderful companies out there at the same time that people will be very happy. Just yeah, yeah, I agree. There is, I see it as, it's because I think some people, and again, possibly coming from a genuine place of wanting to help, but forgetting that everybody is different, and because that's worked for them, now they want to totally bombard everybody with, again, it's my way is the right way. No, well, actually, that person would suit that kind of therapy better, and that person maybe need a little bit more of that. And isn't that the problem? We've got a little bit, there is, like you said very early on, there is so much out there now. You could read a book telling you to, this is good for you, and you could read another book saying that it's poison. You can read another book saying, and the truth is they're probably both right. For one person, that would be a medicine, and for that person, that could be a poison to them, because we are all different. Our bodies are all different, our minds are all different, emotionally, spiritually, and there's something for everyone. And you've got to
Yeah.
find what resonates with you. And I suppose that goes back to your whole way of working, the fact that you've got to listen, and your inner soul knows what's best for you. So you will resonate what is the right thing for you. Is that right?
Exactly. Past logic. So it's never doing, it's so important to remind people that it's not necessarily about being impulsive. And I've definitely done mine the impulsive way, and it's benefited me. But again, I can just see, I'd say the only thing I've learned from my own journey is that slowing everything down, and how that can benefit. But definitely, it's allowing our intuition to override logic and reason. Because if we feel that the right thing for us to do is quit our job, and this is what people will say to me, I know I've heard this message, I know I need to quit my job, but I'm like, but you don't need to quit it now. Let's start exploring, like, what can you do? How can you start? And so more often than not, it's something creative. Like, how can you start creating now? How can you bring that into your life now? What kind of jobs could you start to look at and maybe apply
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
I feel there's this, because I quit my job and went on this journey and lived like this crazy life, and I'm like, it's not, it doesn't have to happen, because if the whole world did that, we'd be
Which
screwed.
is stuff. Which
Even
is
more
stuff.
screwed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Have an
But
exit
yeah,
strategy, maybe. Have an exit
yeah.
strategy. It
Like,
doesn't have.
if you're a more grounded, pragmatic person and you don't want to give everything up, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Just start to explore different possibilities. And it's about stopping seeing ourselves as limited beings.
Love it. Yeah, love it. I do. I do think it is this. I've been through it myself. It's that trying to find that balance between we've been conditioned to be sensible, and this is the right thing to do. This is the right way that you should be doing it. And then when it's something, if you don't actually want that and you want this, and you said something earlier about being impulsive, I can be incredibly impulsive. And yes, it's funnily enough, it's bitten me in the butt before now. And you're right. And I think for people that are like us, maybe a little bit more impulsive, that is actually really a very strong message to slow down. Because I've made some poor choices in the past because I've gone with my where I'm feeling at the time. And these days, especially again at my age, with hormones, and it can be the wrong decision. You might not be actually listening to your inner voice. You're just responding to certain things. So that
Exactly.
whole
And there's a lot, yeah, yeah, sorry to
no,
interrupt, but
no,
thank
no.
you for raising that, because there's so much in that. And this is why when people say, just listen to your body with no further instruction, that's a risky little game, because firstly our bodies will show fear where there is nothing to be scared of. If that, so where you said that we need to work through stuff, yes, because of that, because if there's something we perceive as scary because of something that happened and it hasn't been released, it might hold us back. Or if we've been told we can't do something, that then our body might tell us you can't do that, that's not safe. But equally with the impulse, so this is where the grounding balance comes in. It's a whole different topic really, but masculine feminine energies, which would have been talked about on your shows quite a bit, I'm guessing. But it's that balance of the grounding and the flow, right? And to know it's all about learning yourself. You're not putting stuff into you that's not already there. You're learning yourself. You're learning which parts of you are responses to conditioning or trauma, and which parts of you are your intuition. And equally, where our impulses might have burnt us, we don't know how many times we've held back from doing something and we've missed opportunities from that. So it's
Very true.
really like feeling the fear and doing it anyway,
Ah,
where there's no like real harm to yourself or someone else. Yeah.
and I suppose it's that understanding that, is that the ego talking or is that my soul talking? Because the ego can get in the way, can't it?
The ego can definitely get in the way. So for example, yeah, with that, and with hormones, with addictive impulses, there's a lot of that. So that's where the healing is important, and,
And
and
that's why to
even just
deal
the
with that.
understanding, the knowing how to differentiate it, because yeah, I this is expecting ourselves to be constantly enlightened and constantly in this place of not being human, and this is why where it's learning to sit, because our inner knowing doesn't tend to come through impulsively. Our inner
Right.
knowing comes through in quiet, and the more we practice that listening, the more it becomes automatic and we get to know
Right.
the difference. But nobody can know that as well as we know it
Yes.
ourselves, and that's what it's
Right.
about, is that reconnect.
So really, some of the old-fashioned sayings are actually really true, like the sleep on it. Sleep on it.
What's the big
Yeah, there is no right. I know this is what, I dislike with a lot of sales tactics. It's all they've got to buy now. And it's like, why? We would teach, no, sleep on it. It's got to be the right decision for you. No one knows better than I get it that fear could come up in the meantime and then stop them doing it, but rather people not get buyer's remorse, go and sleep on it. And I suppose that is allowing that inner voice to then come up, as long as you're listening. You've got to be listening.
You've got to be listening.
You've got to be
Yeah.
listening. So to talk about listening to the listeners, if they can't see your details below, how would they get in touch with you, and what is it that you have to offer?
So at the moment, my contacts are my social media platforms, so Instagram and Facebook. So it's at Nina Guatama Holistic or Nina Guatama on Play. I'm quite lucky. My name is it's pretty unique, so there's not many of me out there. And what was your other question? Sorry.
Yeah. What is it that you offer? What is it that you offer people?
At the moment, I'm offering one-to-one coaching in the form of what I call transformative healing, because it is that, rather than being stuck in the healing, as we've spoken about, it's really allowing ourselves to lean into the transformation, to get away from the noise and tune in with ourselves. I provide support in, if you believe you are going through an awakening, that I am definitely the person to help you with that. And if you're going through a big change in your life, in career, in relationships, in anything, it's really getting rid of that outside noise of the should do's and going inwards to what your soul already knows that you can do. I also offer one-to-one intuitive readings, again working a little bit like a tarot reading. And if anybody wants specifically chakra healing or soul healing, that is something we can do on one-off basis sessions. But the best way to work with me is on a coaching basis, really getting into how we can clear any stagnant energy and just live in the now, coming into better future.
Living in the now. It sounds so simple. And yet so many people are spending their pretty much 90% of their day either in the past or a perceived future. It's crazy.
Seeking solutions. Yeah. And also I can genuinely say that, what I do, what my clients experience with me, because they're experiencing it with themselves, they come out of session feeling amazing. Like I said, however deep we go, however it is sensational. It still surprises me. I'm like, wow, I'm magic. I forgot. but
Brilliant.
the
There
beauty
you
of
go. This
is
is it.
Yeah.
Everybody's magic, and we've forgotten. We've all
Exactly, and they
forgotten.
don't come away feeling like I fixed them. In fact, the ideal for me is that they'll forget about me eventually, because
Yes.
they have done it themselves, and it's
Brilliant.
me connecting them with that. I'm just the connector, and I feel blessed to be able to be in that position. Yeah.
Brilliant. Look, thank you for your time today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, love it. And yeah, I do feel that there's a shift right now, and people are becoming, they're understand. We've been going on about the power of now. 20 years ago, I think I read that book first time.
I can't tell it.
I'm a slow learner. Yeah.
I'm reading it for the third time now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I have it on Audible. I can't read. I just don't read books. I listen. I have him, and he's got such a wonderful, calming voice. I love him on Audible. But isn't it? But as always, it's always the simple things. It's us that overcomplicate everything. It's actually the simple things in life. It is the simple things in life. If you want to be happy, keep it simple. Thank you for your time today, Nina. It's been lovely chatting to you. And to the rest of the listeners, I'll be back tomorrow with a coffee with Karen. Bye for now.
Thanks, Karen. Bye.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of